to another episode of Just My Baby Daddy podcast. It's your boy AJ, and today we're going to talk about a subject that a lot of men like myself say we're willing to do. Always talk about, like, I would take my kids. I'd love to have my kids. They're with their mom, but I'll take my kids at any time, at any moment. At the drop of a hat, if need be, they can come and move with me, right? A lot of us say that. But what do you really do if you're ever put in that type of position? And for that, I could think of nobody else to talk to, nobody better to talk to. And I talk to this brother about fatherhood all the time, anything and everything. So when it came to this subject, I could think of nobody better than to think of the assistant women's basketball coach for Winston Salem. I hate saying that. I hate saying that as a Fan State alum. As an Epsilon Beta brother, I hate saying Winston-Salem State coach, but as my brother, I'll cheer for Winston-Salem State, of course. My brother, Mike Moses, is here on the podcast. I appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you, and it's hard for me to say too. It's taking some getting used to. Even when I gotta put on my Winston stuff, man. Like the first month of putting on Winston stuff, it was like, oh God. It was different for me, man. It was a crazy transition, but I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, man. Like this is a subject matter that I've talked about and thought about a lot. Like, if I were ever in a situation where I could take my kids, or I had to take my kids, how would I do? And we don't got to necessarily get into the situation of what you had to end up taking your daughter, but we could just talk about, it came a point in time in which your daughter had to come and stay with you.
Right.
And how old was your daughter at the
time? She was in she was in the 7th grade, so she was 12.
12.
Yeah.
So for the first 12 years of her life, you of course, always been active. We're dads,
sure.
Right?
For sure.
But then there's a difference between being an active dad and then you're the dad. It's the difference.
Jump from being what's the proper verbiage of it? A custodial parent. Custodial parent. Yeah, make the jump from being the non-custodial parent to the custodial parent. It's a jump, man. It's a jump. You gotta adjust. You can't move the same way that you moved prior to that, and now as the custodial parent coming from the non-custodial parent, like everything you do is like you always thinking about your kids all the time. But when your kid lives with you, like you always, if it's going to the store, it's grabbing food, no matter what it is, your kid always plays a part in that. So, your little your Bojangles run, get you a Supreme combo. It may be $10, $11 if it's just you. But you got to feed your kids. So every time you stop for food, it's $25+ every single time. So it's definitely an adjustment. Definitely an adjustment.
So, but how did you start to prepare yourself? Or was it like, is it nothing you can prepare for? It's just, hey man, we're here. We got it. Right. We good. How is that?
Right. So my situation was unique. My daughter was in Ohio, and they were in somewhat of a racist town. My daughter was being bullied, and my daughter is, when I say being bullied, like, it's not like she was being called out of her name and like racial slurs, different things. And my daughter took it upon herself to handle it, and she handled it. Went to school, got into an altercation with the girl, drug her down the hall. It was a big thing. So, and the girl that was somewhat bullying her with the racial slurs had posted this stuff on like Snapchat and Facebook, calling her the N-word and saying, so you would think this kid would get in trouble. But what happened was they were flipping it to my daughter, even though it was proof and it was evidence that, it was on social media. They started using words like assault, like, well, she did assault her, and just different things like that. And I told her mom, we talked one of those nights, and I was like, yo, she got to go, because you in that type of town, and she was bullied and called different and nobody's talking about that. Nobody's addressing that. They keep talking about, well, she did assault her, and the parents can press charges. So my daughter coming to me was like, let's say this, and this is just rough, rough numbers. But let's say it happened on a Monday. My daughter was in North Carolina by Thursday, so it was nothing to prepare for. Like it just happened, and I kind of it was like on the job training. Like she came, we got our one-way flight down, and that was that, man. And it was the end of the school year, so it was like right around, like after the COVID time. So a lot of stuff was online anyway. So we asked the school system down there to make her remote for the rest of the year. And it was already like, so school is over in June. So it might have been like April already. So she went remote. She was coming with me to St. Paul's. That's when I was at St. Paul's. She was coming with me to work every day, doing her classwork. And that's how it happened. And then, ironically, I got the Western Kentucky job in June. So we went came to North Carolina. She finished school virtually. And then I packed up and moved to Kentucky with my kid on a school down there. My first Division I coaching job, trying to adjust. And, thankfully, man, I was at a school where my head coach put family first. He was all about family. It was a smaller town, so everybody kind of took us in. But, me and my kid packed up and went to Kentucky, 2 months after she got to North Carolina.
So that's a lot too. That's a lot too. I mean, but to unpack certain parts of that, like we're gonna go through little segments because I know you. We talk, right? So to put it a certain way, we know that when like it comes to you and your child's mother, like just like me, but not necessarily always the best relationship, right?
Right.
So what was that like? That conversation like to just actually have it so that like, hey man, this is. No matter where we might butt heads, we realize this is what's best for this child at this moment.
And that was exactly the conversation. To be honest with you, that's kind of when our co-parenting started to shift, because we were fine. Like we deal with each other how we had to, right? Like, so no more arguing. Like that was when we was young. We would argue, blah, blah, blah. But we got to a point where, like, she was married. We got to a point where the communication was, just about the kids. It wasn't negative, it was fine. But that moment when we had to make that decision for our daughter is when it completely changed for us. Like, we're fine now. We communicate so much better now. Like, we can talk and laugh. So like, but having to make that decision is where the dynamic of our co-parenting changed. And in that conversation, it was nothing from the past. It was strictly about what was best for our daughter. And so thankful that we were able to get to that space. And sometimes it takes, it's when you co-parenting, man, one thing that for a fact from the person that you're co-parenting with, the one thing that y'all have in common is the love for the kid, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's the connection that you have. So at that moment when we had to make that decision for our daughter, like, you can tell it was only about what was best for her. And we was able to make the decision easy. It was easy. It wasn't a back and forth. It was like, this is what's best. And I initiated the conversation. Like, listen, you in that type of town, we don't know how they're going to perceive our kid, what they're going to do. If these people will actually press charges, she got to go. And then her mom was just like, yeah, I think you're right. And then we just went on, and she was like, what are we going to do for the rest of the year? And then we came up with a game plan for her to continue school and whatever the case may be. And, that's when our co-parenting relationship kind of shifted, because at that point, you're doing what's best for your daughter.
And to go more into it, you don't just have a daughter. Y'all have two kids together.
For sure.
And so the decision was also, now I'm separating these kids.
Right.
So did that play a part? Was that, how was that? Because that means you're leaving, if it's to make a better situation, but you're leaving one. Granted, one's not going through the exact same situation, but it's still the same town. So how was that, like, the splitting between the two?
I will say that I didn't understand the effect of it until later on, because my son is just so nonchalant, so cool. Nothing bothers him. Like, he's not the emotional one who struggled with it. My daughter struggled with it more than anything. And it didn't come out right away. Like when you first get away from your sibling, like, okay, it's just me and dad. Like, I don't have to share this. I can get what I want there at certain places. So it didn't start to show until we got to Kentucky, like midway through 8th grade. And my son came down for something. He came down for one of those breaks. And my daughter was attached to his hip. Like, and she always, they talk all the time and text and Snapchat and all that stuff. But when he came down, she was just like so vibrant and so happy. She didn't want to leave his side. Like, she slept in the bed with him. He like, bro, get out the bed. She's like, no, I miss you so much. Because at the end of the day, she's the woman, right? Like, she's the emotional one. She love her brother.
Yeah.
They don't know life without each other. They 17 months apart. So, they don't know life without each other. So, even if my son, like, he wouldn't verbalize it, like, I know he missed her too. Like, so that's when I started seeing it, like, man, they really miss each other. So, but it was, again, it was so sporadic. It was nothing, like, we didn't have a conversation with neither one of them. It was just like, she got to go. Almost like you getting a fugitive out the house to keep them safe. You got to go, man. You got to go. It's what's best for you. And and it was no conversation. Like, we didn't sit down as parents and say, like, this is what this is going to look like. I hope you guys can handle it. You guys can still talk every day, blah, blah, you got phone. We didn't have none of those conversations. Like, we booked a one-way flight. My daughter was out of there by Thursday, and that was that. Kids don't, they're young. They don't handle they don't know how to express, anything really. And then my son is the type, he just chill. He don't act like nothing bother him. But so, yeah, we didn't even get a chance to prepare them. So not only was I not prepared, not only was she not prepared not to have her daughter and her son, the kids wasn't prepared either. So it was a full family thing. We all was stepping into uncharted territory. So we all had to adjust.
And that move to Kentucky, you were coaching when you were before down in St. Paul's, still by you still got a circle. You got that real family. Yeah. You got, you know what I mean? Like, you got other people there with kids and all that other. But when you go to Kentucky, what did that do for you and your daughter's relationship when it's really there is just you two?
Right. So me and my daughter, like, we've always been close. Like, that's my twin, that's my baby. But when we were in, like you said, when we was in Fayetteville, anything, like her grandmother's in Hope Mills, right? Her aunt's in Fayetteville, her uncle, her grandfather, like her mom's side of the family, they from Fayetteville. So, like, it was easy. Like, them 2.5 months, like, if I had AAU, I was still doing then. If I'm going out of town for AAU, if she don't want to go, she could stay with her grandma. She could stay with a laundry list of people, right? Right, I had a village. Moving to Kentucky, I kind of had to form a village, right? So my head coach's wife, Ray, she was just amazing with the kids. My head coach had 2 younger kids around the same age as Adriana. So, like, when we went out of town on the road, like, she could stay over there, right? But now my daughter's 13. She was 13. So the issue that we faced was, like, we going out of town for a day. Let's say we were leaving. She got basketball practice. Let's say I'm gone and she got basketball practice. She could come home. She got to go to school the next day. And let's say I'll be back by the afternoon, right? So not even a full day. She started wanting to stay at the house. Like, I don't want to go over there. Like, I can stay here and blah, 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 blah. Like, no, you can't stay here. But then you start looking at the time, like, hey, it's not that much time in between, right? So I started having it to where Miss Ray, our coach's wife, when Adriana got home from practice, she would check on her, take her to get something to eat or bring her some food or take her over the house. But then she would stay at the house in the morning. Like, she'd take her home and she'd stay at the house and then she'd get up and get on the bus in the morning. So, like, still just building trust. Like, you got to trust that your kid's going to do the right thing. She was at a unique stage, middle school, 8th grade. Like, that's a unique stage for kids, man. Like, they sneaky, right? They trying to find out who they are. So, me and my daughter had conversations all the time. Like, I got to be able to trust you. Like, you want to stay here for this day by yourself or this little half a day by yourself? I got to be able to trust that you're going to do the right thing, and, we kind of built from there. And, she was able to start kind of staying a little bit, but for the most part, she just stayed with coach's wife because I just be nervous about people and things.
Yeah, of course.
And then she also had a great circle at her school because she wasn't playing middle school basketball. She was playing high school basketball in the 8th grade. In Kentucky, you can do that. Her high school coach was just the the best, man. Coach Head was the best. So like they would make sure she was good. They'd drop her off. He'd call me, Coach, I dropped Adriana off. Boom, boom, boom. I'll get in contact with Coach Collins' wife. She's on the way. So like those people in Kentucky, man, the people that we met, the village that we formed there really made that transition smooth.
Well, speaking on that, what is it like to see up close that your daughter really takes an interest in the things that you take an interest in? We didn't talk about her playing basketball before, but we'll get to it now. Like, what is that like to see? Because it was one thing, your daughter was away, right? And for everybody knows, you're a basketball coach. You played college ball, and now you're there. Like you're really there to see it and mold it. Like what was that experience like?
So it was surreal, man. I've had to describe it. I had to describe this before, but like when you play the sport, and you're active in that sport, and then you have a child that takes interest in that sport, right? You know how they should be working, what it should look like. You know things, how to make them successful. So it's almost like playing 2K. I feel like my daughter and my son are like my players, right? Like I approach it like a video game for real, man. Like as far as like working her out and all of that stuff, like you said, I was away. So like I would have to get video clips and I watch and I talk to her. And then when they come down, I'll get them both in the gym. But her living with me was totally different because now it's all the way hands-on, right? Could hurt a relationship, right? So because me and my daughter never had issues, but basketball started bringing on issues because I'm pushing her. Now this push is different because you're in my house every day, right? So we see each other. So now I'm a college basketball coach. You got full access to all of the things you need to be a really good basketball player. And I'm trying to utilize them, but if we don't utilize them, now I'm mad. I'm mad you don't want to go to the gym because you got full access to a Division I university, weights, a trainer, like all of that stuff. So, but to get back to your question, it's a beautiful thing, man, because I started watching my daughter go to different levels. And I'm there and I'm watching her get better and better. And I'm watching her enjoy the game. I'm able to be there in real time and see the progress, which really became a thing for us, man. Like my daughter isn't used to me not being at games, right? Like she knows that if the game, even if it's away and if it's within an hour and a half, I'm going to take the drive, right? And she knows that. So that became like her comfort, like knowing that I'm going to be there. So it was a beautiful thing being able to watch her grow, watch her play. I watched her play in middle school basketball games in the 8th grade, and then they transitioned her to 9th grade. They competed for a state championship while she's in the 8th grade on the high school team, with her playing minutes. So yeah, it was a beautiful thing, man. Like I enjoyed it and I miss it.
So now we're gonna get to now because like you said you miss it. Kind of leads to the next part of what I want to talk about is what is that like emotionally when you have that. And then was not necessarily, I don't want to say taken away because it feels that sounds like harsh, but she has now transitioned back to moving back with her mother.
Right.
And, we could say it's all for the best and all this other stuff, but because we don't really talk about it, we don't discuss how it actually makes us feel. Like, but how does that feel? Like you don't miss something as much when you never really had it. But once you had it, and then to not have it anymore, what does that do? What does that feel like?
Right. Man, it hurt, man. Yeah, it's been I think the transition of not having her, it was way harder than the transition of figuring it out with her. So it's been a lot harder for me emotionally to not have because I go from seeing my kid every day, being able to go to her games, all of that stuff, man, to now she's back with her mom and I got to watch it on Huddle and just do different things, man. And, she looks for me for different comfort as far as like in the game, even though I'm not saying nothing when she plays. Like we got this thing, like she'll look over at me.
Look over in the crowd. Yeah, I got you.
And I'm not that parent. Like I don't yell, I don't scream, I don't do none of that. Like I sit there like this, right? And I'm watching. And like she has this thing. If she look at me, and she always say, if I'm like this, she knows she ain't playing well, right? Like she's like, okay, I got to pick it up. And she looks for that. And when she's doing good and the team's doing good, like I'm cheering for them, but I'm not the parent yelling out stuff. But this transition has been harder. I feel like I have so much more time on my hand, which I pour into the Winston side of things, right? Like I can leave work late and it don't really affect nothing, right? I don't have a high school game to go to. And, it's just been that transition has been tough, man. Like I miss my daughter. I miss my son. I would love to have both of them here, but the transition was tough for me, man. Having to talk to her. She misses me. I just surprised her and went to her game last week.
Yeah.
She had no idea I was coming. So you know how the playoffs are. They won on Thursday. They played on Saturday. So I found when she told me she won Thursday night, I had no idea. I had no plans on going to Ohio, right? And then so I'm in the house Friday. We lost in the CIAA tournament, so I'm home, and I'm in the house.
Real quick, shout out to Fayetteville State. Won the CIAA championship.
Shout out to my boy Reese, man. Shout out to Reese. I was in the house Friday night. AJ, it was probably like 10:30 at night, right? And I was like, hey, Adriana. No, she texted me. She texted me something about the team she was playing. I was like, hey, I want to see them play against them. I looked at the time. I was like, and then I went on my maps and I typed in where the game was at. I was like 6.5 hours. I was like, I'm going to go in the morning. Like, I'm going to go. I just made up my mind that night. And I got up in the morning, put some stuff in the bag, and I went, right? And when I tell you, like I was, even on the drive there, I was like, I don't feel like taking this drive. But man, when I saw my daughter's face, it was like, it was no way I couldn't take that drive. Like I haven't felt like that in so long. Like I was walking through the door and it's packed. It's sold out. It's a regional championship game. I'm walking through the door and my daughter was at the end of the layup line, right? So while I'm walking through the door, was kind of somebody in front of me, like looking for a seat. And my daughter, like we looking at each other, we're looking in each other's eyes, right? And her head kind of went to the side and she was looking like, almost like, hey, that look like my dad. And then so like I'm walking in, her head to the side, and I'm like, I'll do this to her all the time, right? She was like, and she started screaming and like she was going crazy. And then she went and laid the ball up and she was tapping her teammates like, my dad here, my dad here. And like she had tears. She was coming around the other side and like she was waving and she was crying. And I'm like, oh, she's so emotional. She's so sad. But, just, for her as well, man, I know it's been an adjustment. Like she tells me all the time, like, she missed me so much. She missed being here, so, on both ends, man. Like I said, I feel like it was harder. The adjustment has been harder with not having her here than it was to bring her here.
Yeah, because I can imagine, like, to me, that's the only thing I could equate to it is once being in the house and then leaving. And like,
Yeah.
like that transition out of the house, that shit is hard.
Yeah.
That shit's hard.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is, if you can give any advice to a dad that, is about to, especially a daughter, that's a unique situation. And let's say my daughter's come to stay with me. What advice could you give?
Just be patient. Be patient. Like give yourself grace. You got to give the child grace because they gotta adjust. Rules at daddy house may not be the same as mommy house, right? Like we're talking about when you moving your kid, you're talking about two different thought processes, two different households. And that kid has to adjust as well. At mom's house, she may have to do X, Y, and Z. At your house, let's say you're a little cleaner than the mom, right? You want certain things done. Like, no, you need to wash these dishes, you need to do this, and you need to do that before you go to sleep every night. And if they're not used to doing it, it could be some friction in there where you could butt heads. So I would say, like, I think the line of communication needs to be open with the, especially if they're old enough. If they're 10 years old or older, like somewhere in that range, or even if you can have like any type of conversation with them, to whereas it's a sit down amongst two people, like you need to have that conversation. If you got a teenager or a preteen, like be very honest with them. Like give it to them how it is. Like I think that as fathers, especially fathers of daughters, we try to be so gentle and protective but the world isn't that, you know? And we can still be gentle and protective with the truth, like telling them about the situation, how it's changing, your expectation. This generation of kids, they need to know why. They always ask why. And it bothers me as a parent. It bothers me as a coach, because I grew up in the era where your coach tell you something, you don't ask why, right? Like, why do you need me to do that?
You know what's funny though? We are the same generation of kids. We all ask why. You asked why as a kid. I asked why as a kid. The only difference is it's a different generation of adults. The kids
Right.
are the same because we
Yeah.
all asked why. But our response was shut the hell up. That's why. Or like,
Yeah.
because I told you so. That's why. Yeah, that's the response. Yeah, you're why. We were all curious kids. It's just that
Yeah.
we grew up to be, adults that would actually listen to the curious kids.
Yeah. For me as a child, you got to pick and choose who you ask why to. Like, I didn't ask,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I mean.
I didn't ask my dad why. I didn't ask my grandma why, and I didn't ask my high school basketball coach why ever. But yeah, you're right. Every is curious. Everyone's curious. All kids are curious. It is the era of the adult. But I would like for real, have those conversations with the kid and be very honest with him. And you don't have to let them make them understand why the transition is happening, or why it's going to be different here than it is at mommy's house. Like, mommy tells you to go to bed at 9. I want you to in the bed at 8:30. Well, why do you want me in the bed at 8:30? Because I have to do X, Y, and Z in the morning, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I got you ready, then I got to drop you off. And I need that time. I need that 30-minute space to give me time to get to work, or whatever the case may be. I think that explaining the kids work out much better than thinking that they know or assuming that they know. And that makes the transition easier. And also just kind of trying to mirror the routine that they had at the previous house until you can get them up out of it. Some stuff has to stay the same. You can't take anybody out of one environment and put them in a new environment and think that they're going to thrive right away. You got to ease them into it, right? Like, you got to ease them into your rules. And I always use analogies, but the only one I could think of right now is because I have a dog, right? Like, if you have a dog, people that have dogs, when you're changing their dog food, the brand, you don't give them the new brand. Like, you don't give them one brand, Purina, and then give them Blue Buffalo the next day. Like, you got to give them Blue Buffalo inside of the Purina until you wind them off of it, or they're going to get sick. They're going to have stomach problems, all types of stuff. So, like, just trying to keep up with trying to mirror the routine that they had at the previous house and filter it into what you got going on will make the transition smoother. And this is all stuff I learned on the fly, man, because I figured, you with me now, you ain't doing that, you ain't doing it, damn that. It was like she was like a fish out of water. Like, what you mean? And mind you, my kid's mom, she does a great job. She's very disciplined and very structured. It was a little looser with me, right? So it was a little looser. But then I understood why, because as the non-custodial parent, my kid on punishment, and she's like, Mommy, this because I didn't wash the dishes. I was going to, I just fell asleep. And I'm like, dang, you taking her phone for 2 weeks? You know what I'm saying? But then when my kid gets with me and I ask her over and over to do something, it's like, oh, that's why you were always in trouble. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to put your foot down. So I honestly learned a lot from as far as why she did certain things and why she moved the way she did. Because mind you, she's the custodial parent, so she was with my kids every single day. It's totally different. They act totally different when you got them every day from when you got them, on the weekends or holidays and stuff. So I honestly I gained even more respect for the way that she parented when I got my kid, and I had to kind of filter back into some of her ways because I'm like, shit, I'm a little too loose.
Yeah.
Okay, this is why she act like that. Okay, this is why she did that. That's why your butt didn't have a phone for 2 months, because she probably told you 75 times to clean your room. So, I learned a lot from my kid's mom as far as having her by myself. And I shared this with her. We're in a totally different space now. And I shared it with her like, yeah, I see why you did certain stuff. Because Adriana's crazy. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like crazy. So, and like I said, man, you learn a lot from both sides. But I just, like I said, taking a little bit from trying to keep that kid in that same routine as much as possible until you get them all the way under your roof.
That's actually really good because when you talk about the looseness and stuff, that is what usually equates to daddy's house. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Usually it's like you get what you need to at daddy's house. And it's weird. It's very weird how you hear that at daddy's house is loose, but when dad's in the house, he's the strict one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so odd. It's odd
Yeah.
that way.
But also, man, and it's a unspoken, this is unspoken, man, and people will not admit it, but I will. When you're the non-custodial parent and you have your kid, you just want them to have a good time while they with you. Like, it ain't about discipline. It ain't about structure. It's about you making up for the last 2 weeks you
That you
ain't
didn't
seen.
have. Yeah.
So now you got them for 48 hours, and it's like, stay up until 5 a.m. if you want
Party
to.
time.
Yeah, like, you don't, like, most of the time you got them, it's a weekend. So, like, it ain't no rules, man. Like, I remember my kids being with me during breaks, spring breaks, or whatever it is, and it's like, I'm upstairs, I'm going to bed. I may get up and go to the bathroom and I hear Fortnite. And I look at like, damn, it's 4 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? And then now my kids, they're not getting up. They don't get up the next day to 1 because they've been up all night. But so, in that kid's mind, like when they come with daddy, they still trying to have fun because they think it's that. But it's not that no more when you're the decision maker and you got to get them up for school. You got to, that's just unspoken. Like nobody probably likes to admit it, but it's this feeling of my kid has to have a good time with me because you damn near feel guilty for the bad relationship or not being at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, and daddy's house is the fun house.
Yeah.
Tell you how it flips because when my daughter was with me, when she go home with her mom, like it's the same. Like, her mom is still who she is, but she thinks mommy is more loose now. Like, no, you're only there for a week. You got to come back here.
It's
So
a honeymoon period. Yeah.
right, it's not the same. The non-custodial parent job is to make up subconsciously is to make up for the time that you don't see your kid. And you don't want them to resent you. You want them to love you. You want that feeling and you want them to know that you love them and you sorry for the failed relationship. Like, I'm sorry I'm not at home. So the way you make up for that, as a non-custodial parent this is Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like, do your thing. You want McDonald's? You want a caramel frap at 11 o'clock when we go? Get the caramel. Like, so, and that's just a big thing. Like, it's just, as non-custodial parents, man, it's a void that we try to fill in there. But when you turn into the custodial parent, now you're the bad guy.
Now, how was that the switch though? Because that is one thing that I think about, like with my son, is especially like my son and my daughter. It's always take either, right? If they were to come with me, my biggest thing is I know their mom is a stickler for education.
Yes.
And while I am as well, if they were to get like a C or a B, I could talk to them or whatever. But like, I'm a DF student, right?
Sure.
And I'm not, don't follow my lead. But their mom sets the example. Their mom is a honor student and all this other stuff. I got an honor thing because I took it, right? I took it from somebody.
Yeah.
Not real.
Sure.
But like, it's different there because I'm like, did you do your homework? They may say, yeah. I'm like, all right. Where the mom will read it, look it over. When they come home from school from mama's house, they have to read a chapter out of a book, like, and then follow up on it. And then me, I know me. Like, the kids probably ain't going to do it because I ain't going to want to look at it. That ain't my thing. And so how is that transition to be like, okay, I know I can't be the way that I am, and now I have to change myself. How was that transition with it changing yourself?
Right. You got, the exact example that you used is me, as far as like when it comes to school, right? Like I went for a while with, hey, you did your homework? Yeah, I did my homework. All right, good. Hey, you did your homework? Yeah, I did my homework. Good. All right. And then progress reports came out. My kid's doing terrible. I'm like, I thought you were like, oh, you've been okay. So that transition is tough because anything is tough. Like when it requires extra work, that requires more work. It requires you to come home tired, gotta feed both of y'all, right? And then you may want to sit down and have a drink and relax and wind down. Now hey, bring me the laptop. Let me, you know what I'm saying? You did this and you going through the canvas and you doing all that stuff to make sure stuff is turned in. So I made that mistake before the first progress reports in Kentucky. And then I just adjusted, man. And I also, a key to that, to keep you on top of that, is I emailed all the teachers and I let them know, like, hey, Adriana's with me. I'm a single dad. I work at WFU. Sometimes, like if something is going wrong, please don't, like, if she misses an assignment, please let me know so I can get on it. Like, I don't look at the canvas as much as I should. I promise I'm going to do a better job. And the teachers will communicate with you because there's not a lot of single dads, man, that got their kids, right? And that's just how it is. So, like, that's a key for you too. Like, you can do that. Like, let the teachers know, like, hey, it's just me, my son, and my daughter. I need you to help me as best you can to stand on top of this school stuff because it's not really my lane. And teachers know, man. These teachers know. Dads are for loving and sports, man. That's why this is not realistic and nothing, but this is why a home is supposed to be together. Like, you're supposed to have one house, right? So in one house, you got mom that's checking the schoolwork and making sure the rooms is clean. And what you do, Dad, is you reinforce what mom says. Hey, didn't she tell you to clean your room? Didn't she tell you to do your work? That's much easier than down at the work. So, like, those are the circumstances we're supposed to be in. Those are the circumstances but unfortunately, those are the circumstances that we're not in. So you just gotta get outside of that and figure out how to make time for those things, for real. And it gets tough, man. It gets tiring, checking the schoolwork and all of that. And my kid, if you let her go without, she will not do it. Like, she won't. I don't got to sit down and do her work. Like, I don't. I got to be, hey, you need to, blah, 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 blah. And then she'll do it. Smart, but, she like me. She's just like me. Like, she's smart as hell. But, if she could
that ain't just like you, man.
Huh?
Don't hype yourself up. Don't give you smart as hell. Come on.
Well, I'm very smart. Very smart.
Basketball smart.
Very intelligent. Don't do that.
Man.
Yeah. And then at the same time, man, because I don't want to leave out of this space, like, without giving my son his flowers as well. Because my son, is the total opposite of my daughter. He's low maintenance. My daughter's high maintenance. My daughter's low maintenance. So if you're doing a thing where you're splitting kids, right? Where if you're splitting kids, then have to find, because now this kid don't see you, right? One kid sees you every day, one kid doesn't. So, like, towing that line of making sure my son knows that you remain priority in my life as well. Even though you're not here, you remain priority in my life. I continue to also do, like, I'll do more for my son than my daughter, to be honest with you. And
because that may sound because of that. No, but it's true. I understand it because of that dynamic. Like, you're already there with, like, to be honest, I feel, and my kids understand it, but I feel that way now, right? Because I have my youngest daughter, 7 days, whereas I'll have the other ones 2. And it's like, this doesn't equate, right? Like, out of every 14 days, I have y'all 2. I have her 7. And I ain't gonna lie, especially in the beginning, I may have even tried to overcompensate for that when I was like, yo, I gotta make sure I'm here for my kids thing. I gotta make sure that they know and they understand that it's not, daddy's not starting a new family. Daddy does not love Ari more than he loves Aubrey, more than he loves Jet, and in no way for any of them. And that's just the way, because it's almost like a sense of guilt, right?
Yes.
Like, because you're here and you're not, but I love all of you all equally. So it might not be said or understood. I understand what you're talking about completely.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
completely.
and also, but also, AJ, for my son, and people laugh when I say this, I just feel like my son is perfect, right? Like, he don't get in no trouble. He play, he do his, like, academically, he's a boy. Like, he tries hard, but, he's somewhere, like, he's in the mid, like, 2.8 range as a kid, right? Like, but he's trying. He don't get in no trouble. The last time he got a phone call home, he probably was in the 4th grade, right? And it was something he was involved with another boy, and they didn't know who did it.
Yeah.
My son, him, but they both got in trouble for it. But I say my son is perfect, man. He don't lie. He has gotten to situations as a teenager where I would have probably lied. Like, being with his friends, I would have lied. Asked him what's going on. He literally told the truth. And it's like, I had a whole spiel for him on why he shouldn't do certain things, and he told me the truth. And I was like, so now I got to pivot off of I'm like, yo, this kid is perfect, yo. So, like, he gets anything from me anyway because he hasn't given me any issues. My daughter is more high maintenance. You got to watch everything she say. It could be a lie. She could be trying to trick you. Like, and so although we love our kids the same, we like them differently. Because I like my son more than my daughter. I love him the same, but I like my, and I be laughing with Serge, man, my line brother. I laugh with Serge all the time because he's like, man, I love both. Like, you may love your kids the same, but you like one more than the other.
Man, when my daughter was being born, I said I want to have a daughter, because from that, the newborn to like 3 or 4 years old stage, right? But once he turns like 4 or 5, I wish if the baby would come out 4 years old, I would have had a son. I would have had another son. But to go through that whole thing, like, nah, I'd rather, if I'm gonna start with a baby, give me a baby girl.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's no love like that daughter, like that initial love for my baby girl. It's nothing like it.
Yeah, it's not. My daughter, the way she like, even now, man, my daughter's 8 and 7. My daughter's 16. Like, the way she 15. What is she? Yeah, she's 16. Oh no, she's 15. She's 15. She'll be 16 in July. I'll be getting confused these ages. But she, the way she hugged me at that game, like,
Does
like,
something to you, bro.
yeah, man, like, she hugged me. She didn't let me go, man. Like, so, like, yeah, that love for a daughter is different. It's different, but that the love for your son is different too, though. Like, like, it's two totally different things, because like, your son, like, you raising him to be a man, but then when you're not, once my son started getting to the teenage ages, and I'm seeing that he's gonna be okay, he's a good kid. You know what I'm saying? So then my son is damn near transitioning into, like, my guy.
Boy, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we talk about. It's like, he called me, hey, I'm about to put my prize picks in. Who you got for such and such and such? Like, you like the over or under on what's, like, so that's the conversations me and my son have now, which is cool as hell to me. So, like, it's just different, man. I feel like everybody that got a son and a daughter, we're blessed. We're blessed to get both sides of it, because, soon we'll be old. Our sons will be in their 20s or whatever age. And now you hang, now that's your guy. You know what I'm saying? Lord behold, like, your son becomes a captain, which he will. My son's gonna be a captain. He sent me a video about 2 weeks ago, shimmying. I'm gonna send it to you. This new age choreograph and, like, it just, like, I got, like, this chill through my body, right? Like, I got this chill through my body because I know, like, okay, I feel like I did the right shit. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, my son, he loves basketball. He plays. He wants to coach. He wants to be a Kappa. Like, so nobody got in between
Your
the
son.
vision that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I knew my son was going to play basketball, but, like, now he like, after I'm done playing, like, I want to coach. Okay. Then he sent me the video. We never talk about Kappa. He just know all his uncles. He know all of them, right? Like, but we never talked about Kappa. He sent me a video don't shit this. And I'm like, okay, all right. Well, so that's just a different relationship, man. Like this parenting thing is special. It's special.
It is, man.
And it
It's
could be tough.
crazy. Just getting and then getting older with it too, like the Kappa thing, bro. Seeing even when he talked about the son, seeing that type of relationship, seeing things like Shaw. When I saw his son at CIAA, I said, man, you got to sit right here. You got to take a picture with my. I felt old. That's when I felt old. I'm like, come here, boy. Come take a picture with
Yeah,
my kids. Like, yeah, like
right.
that old man moment. Like you see these kids and then like my son look at them and like it just happens that way. Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
it's a beautiful thing, man. And that's why, like early on when we going through our issues, the baby mama, baby daddy stuff, like I would encourage, and this is off of what we talking about, but like every man that has to like go through the hard time, because I went through hell. I went through hell, and you know that. To this to persevere through it and just know that whatever's going on while that kid is young, like they only remember you showing up. They don't remember nothing else. Like we put a lot of, like sometimes you could be dealing with somebody that be like, oh, your kid ain't gonna see you. You don't do, like they don't remember none of that. And I mean I took that to heart a lot as a younger parent, and now it's like, okay, I'm glad I stayed the course. I'm glad like I continued to fight. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad. Like if you would have told me, and like I said, me and you talk all the time. If you would have told me 10 years ago,
Never.
my daughter would live with me after all I was going through, this like the visitation, the see her and all of that stuff. And then just recently, my son mentioned like spending like doing his senior year here, like in North Carolina, like next year. So it's like, if you would have told me this what happened 10 years ago, I'd have told you was crazy, because I'm in and out of court trying to just get visitation of my kids. Like going like for a long time, like the only time I can see them is going up to the daycare, right? Go up to the daycare, sit for a few, and like not being invited to birthday parties, like just all of that young, dumb stuff, which my kid's mom apologized for. Like we good. Like she apologized. Like we were young, stupid kids, but like at that point, because I've always said, AJ, I see how sometimes fathers could be like, you know what? I ain't dealing with it. Like you try so hard at them early ages and you get shut out. It's like, you know what? I'm done. I ain't even trying. And then, but at the end of the day, then you get the bad rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you left it. Like, no, sometimes people just don't want to go through all of it, man. Like, and I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying I understand.
No, I get it. I understand it too.
I'm not saying it's right to like, you got to fight to see your kids, and you got in and out of court and in and doing all of this stuff and all of the childish and petty stuff. And I see how sometimes guys give up. Like I didn't give up. Like I still saw mine, but again, I'm not saying it's right, but I do understand, because I've been in a space several times where I was like, yeah, I can't do this. But now,
This,
now we're here. So, God is good.
yeah, like you say, it's light at the end of the tunnel.
It is, man.
It's
It is.
You just stay the
It is.
course. That's probably the best way to just end that right there. You just got to let everybody know.
Stay the course, man.
Stay the course.
To the fathers, man, stay the course for sure. Stay the course, because it's worth it, and your babies love you no matter what the other party is saying. They genuinely and naturally love their parents, unless you're doing something crazy. But kids don't know that, man. They just know if you're there. They know the time that you spend together, whether you spending it with them. And like, man, I've had times where I've had my kids, AJ, and I had $20. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got them for the weekend, and I got $30, bro. Like, I'm like, how am I going to do this? Like, but figuring it out. The kids don't know how much money you got. You find ways to be creative. You go to the park, you get an icy, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then you may not, you make something in the house, and then at night you end it on like something, maybe Bojangles or something, like some family value type stuff where you get a lot of food. Like so kids don't remember, they don't know how much money you got. All they know is time. Like that's what they know. So that's something else I throw out there for like fathers that are like newly into this, maybe having baby mama issues, all of that stuff. like just stay the course. It blows over. It does.
I appreciate it, bro.
No doubt.
Episode of Just My Baby Daddy podcast. I know you like what you saw. So what I need for you to do is go back and look at past episodes. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share our YouTube page, Just My Baby Daddy Podcast. And you can follow us on all social media at Just My Baby Daddy Pod.